Hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge, and we're going to be talking and watching today. So here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat. I'm Rick Zanotti, and joining me right next door, just a little bit away from here, Lisa Goldstein. Hey Lisa, how are you today?
Good. How are you? Good morning.
I am doing great. So Lisa, you all set for a fun show today?
I am. How about you?
I am. This should be actually a pretty good one. We're going to be talking about something we've been talking a lot about anyway, which is gamification.
Love this
And
topic.
joining us today, right here in that upper window, is Jennifer Zapp. Now, Jennifer is someone I know from a long time ago, and Jennifer has been around for a long time. But she's a youngster. Trust me, at heart, she's a youngster. And Jennifer has worked originally with Authorware. You were one of the first ones there, weren't you?
Well, I was at Authorware Inc. before it became part of Macromedia, but wasn't one of the very first. That was pretty much the team from Minneapolis. That was the starting crew of it, with working directly with Mike Allen. But I was on the West Coast doing pre and post sale support for the product.
Oh, that's great. And aside from Authorware, she's worked in a lot of different venues. She's been a consultant for a long time, and she now has a new venture she's working with, and it is called Growth Engineering. And it's an LMS all based on gamification. Well, not based on, it's an LMS, but it has a lot of gamification elements in it. Jennifer, do you want to shall we run that quick movie introducing the product and getting people a little more familiar with it?
Yeah, let's take a look at Richard's learning journey on the Academy LMS. That'd be great.
Here we go.
Meet Richard. He's about to embark on his very first learning journey on the Growth Engineering Academy platform LMS. As you can see, he's giddy with excitement. It all starts with an email. Richard has been sent his login details and a message of encouragement. It's time to get started. Superman has the Fortress of Solitude, Batman has the Batcave, and our very own learning hero has the user dashboard. This is the first page he will see upon logging into the Academy. This learning paradise is packed full of all the tools he needs to succeed. First up, there's his My Things to Do list. This is Richard's learning bucket list. If his manager invites him to take a piece of learning content, it will appear here. Any incomplete tests, reviews and assessments will also appear here. Linked to this is the calendar, which will display any classroom events that Richard has signed up for, along with any time-bound learning content that he needs to complete. In other words, the Academy is helping to turn Richard into an organizational genius. Like many other learners, Richard does his best work when he's working as part of a team and collaborating with other users on the Academy. Luckily, the Academy's dialogue stream allows him to do exactly that. Any comments, news stories, learner achievements or actions will be reported in the dialogue stream. This allows Richard to keep his finger on the pulse and provides him with an opportunity to express himself, share content and help others. Richard may be a learning hero in training, but even the best of us need some guidance from time to time. If he's ever struggling to find his way around the Academy, he can always turn on the Cool Tips option. This helps to explain what everything does and ensures that Richard never gets lost. Isn't it about time that Richard looked at some learning content? To do this, he needs to head to the library, where he will find all the content specific to his job role. This content is accessible whenever Richard needs it. When he's finished learning, he can rate the content and leave a comment. Well, look at that! By interacting with the Academy and engaging with the learning process, Richard has earned an achievement. Whilst achievements are awarded for exploring the Academy platform, badges are earned for completing pieces of learning content. Every step along the learning journey comes with its own reward. This ensures Richard's always fired up, motivated, and ready for his next challenge. In fact, this is part of what makes Growth Engineering's Academy platform unique. It's loaded up with gamification features to make sure learners are fully engaged. All the badges and achievements Richard collects will appear in his trophy cabinet, so he can keep track of all his learning victories and see what else is available. As our plucky learning hero collects all these rewards, he'll climb up the Academy-wide leaderboard. A little competition often goes a long way. And as if that isn't motivation enough, Richard will also earn points for every piece of learning content he consumes. As he does so, he'll level up and earn more status on the Academy. This will also unlock new content, ensuring that his learning pathway is clearly defined from the outset. Everything on the Academy is set up to help Richard unlock his full potential. Once Richard's dug into the learning content, he can test his knowledge through a series of assessments and reviews. This will give him a chance to prove that he's taken on board the new information and will help it to stick. These will then be marked automatically by the Academy or his manager, and feedback will be provided along with any newly recommended content. And there we have it, a brief snapshot of Richard's journey on the Growth Engineering Academy platform LMS. If you'd like to learn more, head to www.growthengineering.co.uk. That's it from us and from Richard, who's now fully equipped to take his learning to all new heights. Will you follow in his footsteps?
That was great. That is actually one of my favorite little videos that I've seen in a long time. Great product demo, and I also apologize for both of you in the show right now because we're not patched in to get the audio from the TriCaster back to Skype. So
okay.
It was like a silent movie for you guys, but it had full audio. Just
I
know
was
that.
sitting there wondering a little bit, but thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I should have warned you ahead of time. I forgot. But anyway, that's a great video, and it sparks a lot of interest in what people are doing with LMSs and gamification. Lisa did. Unfortunately, you couldn't hear it either. So they talked a lot about the different things. You could see probably what they were showing.
That's really exciting.
It does, and it's got a couple things that it has that I liked right up the get-go. I like the fact that it's got built-in chat. So people,
the whole social media is really important for the engagement of learners, and I think that's one of the things that the Academy LMS really is strong in, is the social media, in addition to the gamification. But you can share your badges with LinkedIn or Twitter. You can talk to each other and praise each other. The whole connection, the engagement, not just from a content level, but from the whole LMS level also.
So it looks like there's, so much to report upon. So does that offer, a long list of, things to report? Does it use like API or like Experience API to, report upon, all those data points?
It currently doesn't use the experience. You're talking about the SCORM?
Yeah, exactly. Tin
Yeah,
Can?
the Tin Can. It's currently not Tin Can enabled, but I know that is on our roadmap. However, we do have an API call that is strongly developed around it so that people can integrate it into their own systems. So we have an implementation with Salesforce, so that they can single sign-on from Salesforce, different things of that sort that allow you to really wrap it into your learning environment, your whole environment.
Very cool. So what are some really good examples of how somebody uses this tool? Because it seems like the sky's the limit with what you could do with it. Is there, are there any kind of interesting examples that maybe weren't displayed inside the video that might be interesting to talk about?
I think one of the areas that is strongly being used by is having companies that have multiple organizations working together on it. So like maybe there's an example of the Spicer case study out of the UK, where it has the company that actually owns it is Spicer. And Spicer resells a lot of different office products. So each one of those manufacturers are bringing their learning into the Spicer Academy, so that it's a one-shop place for everybody to go to.
That's really cool. So, you know, what kind of stats do you have as far as like engagement goes? I mean, I imagine that, you know, this turns an environment into, you know, individuals who have to check boxes because they have to go and learn, to individuals who want to come and learn. So I'm sure must be something to be said about, you know, stats on engagement that you see through this kind of product.
I don't have any particularly for the LMS right now. But
okay.
We're actually really pretty new. So there are a lot of statistics on using gamification elements for building engagement. And I think that's where we are really integrated in with them, is that it really does raise engagement. My only personal experience with it is actually on a different LMS with gamification elements. And we found that the people were really jumping in to talk to each other about it, to rate content, to kind of share the elements that they've done. And there was a lot of pride in being on the top of the leaderboard. We had a lot of people had the same score, so it was like, how do I get to be on top of the leaderboard, because I have the same top score, but the top person is not moving off. So we had to actually put in an element into sliding the people that got to the top off the top of the leaderboard, so that the next person would come up and show on there too, because everybody wanted to see their name on the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did you accomplish that? Did you find, you know, ways to, you know, squeeze in extra bonus points, or?
Well, we actually figured out a way to kind of move people off after they were on the leaderboard for at the top. After they got the top score and they were on there for a certain number of days, then they would roll off, and the next group of people would get to come up and things. So we kind of had to fake it out that way too, because everybody wanted to be on the leaderboard, and that was something that I think we really didn't understand. And because of privacy laws in the UK, in Europe, we had to actually only show the top 5. We couldn't show who was at the bottom. That was considered too punishing and things. So so we had to only show the top 5. So you could see your score and how you compared to the top. So it was a lot of fun, and it was really surprising on how engaging people, how much more engaging it made people with their learning.
So we've got a question in the chat room, and the question's from Leave. Hi, Leave. She says, everyone remains a kid, but other than this concurrent feature, what about real collaboration between students?
Well, we actually have some of that built into it. Our academy is used in the UK for something called for training on ISMM, which stands for the Institute of Sales and Marketing Management. And the ISSM is a very collaborative online academy where users get together and they actually talk to each other. They actually work on shared projects together, and all of that is done through the system. I think one of the other areas that's really fun in the LMS is something that's called the Experts tab. And in the Experts tabs, you can set up people that can answer questions for the learners. Oftentimes, one of the failings of online learning is that you get to some place and you just don't understand what is being covered in the training or what is said. And they're like, oh, wow. In that case, in a classroom, you'd raise your hand and say, hey, what's the answer to this question? I'm stuck. And well, the Ask the Expert is a built-in collaborative type of a tool that allow people to there's a list of experts in different topics, and you select that expert you want to, you send them off a chat, and they come back and answer your question. they might say, wow, that's a really cool question. So they'll add it to the FAQs that's built into the system also. It's kind of like a little Wikipedia system. So a lot of very things to engage and share people, have people work together.
And how do you sell gamification to somebody who doesn't get it, who says, gamification, that's, for kids, we need, people to be productive. How do you sell serious gaming?
Well, in our case, for the LMS side of things, I think we show them. We show them the tool, the LMS. We show them, I think most people, when they compare our LMS to a traditional LMS, will immediately see, wow, yes, this is much more engaging, it's more fun, and it's what people want to use. And I don't think it kind of sells itself. However, I think our biggest, is that we're pretty small and stuff. So we're competing against some totals and other systems that have been there for a long time. And truthfully, right now, they're starting to talk about gamification, and some of them are wrapping other tools around them, like a bunch ball or API or different things to add game elements. But we recently were speaking with Carl Kapp, who is one of the leading experts on e-learning and gamification. He's written several books on it and speaks often on it. And he said we were one of the only truly gamified LMS systems he'd ever seen, because we really, from the ground up, have added the LMS, the game and elements, and the social media is built inherent into the DNA of the Academy LMS. So I think that's one of the things that's really shown off for us.
Well, also one of the things that you find in most LMSs is that they are very text-based. They're boring. They're hard to navigate. They're hard to read. A lot of people complain about all of that. I've worked on some of the major ones, and honestly, the stimulating is not a word that you can equate to an LMS. So that is one of the big issues. That's what I liked about the growth engineering one. When I saw it, I went, that looks actually very promising. Now, have you guys done any testing on scalability or things like that for like large numbers of clients?
I'm not exactly sure. I think our largest clients, truthfully, are about 20,000 right now.
Okay.
I don't really have all the details on that. I'm pretty new to the growth engineering. I only left my full-time employment about a month ago and jumped right into being the U.S. reseller for the Academy LMS, introducing it to the U.S., having an opportunity like today talking on the eLearnChat. It's been an awesome opportunity and things, because we are really just kind of getting our name out there, showing what we can do. We Craig Weiss, who has his top 10 e-learning systems ratings all the time, rated us number 2 overall and number 1 for Gameified LMS. So we've got some excitement going on, and we're really looking to really start building some U.S. presence.
One of the things right now is because there are so many old LMSs, if you will, that haven't really done much to spiff up the appearance or a lot of the new features like gamification. It's a good opportunity. It's definitely a place to be where they could make some good inroads, because the big companies don't move quickly. The big LMS vendors are going to slowly churn it up, and somehow they'll manage a way to make gamification boring. That's just my theory, but
yeah, just add it on, kludge it on. But yeah, we have. I think we're finding that usually we're coming in for a particular project, a particular need. If it's in a large corporation, it's for a particular need for a department or maybe one company within a corporation, because they have an issue with learning not being engaging. They have an issue. They really realize that it's boring, and they want to not just add a fun LMS, because that's not really going to add, really change it from being a boring e-learning, the content, but it's an initiative like to wrap the whole thing around. We're going to not only do great content and much more engaging, fun content, but we're also going to do a fun LMS. And that's kind of where we're finding ourselves going into. We're not coming into a large Fortune 500 company to replace an existing sum total or something. That's probably not our initial market.
So Jennifer, can I ask you the hard question? So for the individuals who are winning, and they're higher up on the leaderboard, those are probably the most motivated individuals. What about the individuals who, I know that you were saying in the UK you can't display the individuals who are low on the totem pole on that leaderboard. But what do you do? What do you say to individuals who are saying, I'm worried about those people. I'm worried they're not being engaged enough. Are they feeling low self-esteem because they're low, on that leaderboard, and therefore is it actually hurting their engagement? How do you address that particular topic?
I think in a traditional system it could do that way, and I think that's one of the concerns I have with the way that other existing LMS might implement it. But one of the things that's really beautiful about the Academy is that not only is there the leaderboard and awards for completing content, but even just moving around within the LMS, I'm getting badges from spending time completing a content or searching for content or even changing my picture on the LMS, on my profile. So there's a lot of immediate response you're getting. On top of that, when you get a culture of people sharing and motivating each other, which is very much built into the system, any manager can send a praise to their user. So if I see, John's kind of struggling, but all of a sudden he's completed 2 courses, I as the manager can send a badge to John and say, hey, achievement badge, say, hey, good job, you've really stepped up on your performance, and give them extra experience points just for actually getting involved in it. So I think there's a lot of ways to engage people that are built into the system.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's not just about how are you doing on the leaderboard. You're getting that positive reinforcement through badging and other little types of feedback, so that you feel like you are getting little bits of success, whether you're competing against yourself, and if what you're saying is in a large organization, I'm not sure how large that organization is, where you only show the top 5, but I guess. Maybe it's a little bit harder for your self-esteem to be hurt if, you're a company of 10,000 people and you're not one of just the top 5 that are on the list, and you're not seeing yourself as, number 9,605.
Yeah, that could be a little demoralizing. But we also have the ability in our leaderboards to drill down into, so I can drill down to my division, I can drill down to my immediate team, and so I can just see how am I doing against the other 20 people I work with in this department, and so you can actually see a little bit more of the where your place is. The Academy LMS really focuses more on the entire. Does allow you to see the entire leaderboard, but different systems have different methodologies in that.
That's great. That's exciting. I like that. It sounds like a really good system. What kind of challenges have you run into so far?
Challenges for us have been people are immediately engaged in it and things. So that hasn't been a challenge. We've made most companies shortlist. Many companies have looked at us. We've made their shortlist of who's of the LMSs they want to use. Right now, we're still, working to really push it up to the top. That we're still competing against the sum total. We're competing against the companies that say or can do pretty much anything and with their LMS. And our focus is on the engagement level. And we have all of the standard LMS features, But when people say, do you have X, Y, and Z? Sometimes we have to say, not yet. That's, but our company is very, very focused on what our clients need. So one of the fun things that we have is for the new features, we'll put a list of all the requests that our clients have come up with, and we'll let them rate what are the things that are the most important for them. And so that we are actually building our new features based on the systems that their responses and what they want.
Now, is the purchase model a hosted one, or is it hosted and or they can bring it in-house?
Hosted only.
Hosted only, okay.
Yeah, it is a hosted only. It seems to work well. That way we have new releases almost monthly. And we have major releases quarterly. So we're really in a development cycle. So we don't want to, if it was on behind your firewall, you'd be taking a lot of your time to keeping it current. And with our system, with it being hosted, we're able to manage the client's sites for them and let them just concentrate on putting engaging content and working with their learners.
So if a user, if a company wants to put gamification inside of one of their e-learning courses that are then hosted, inside of your platform, what can be done to sort of tie those gamification elements, to what's happening inside
I think
the
it's
LMS?
very important that content is also fun. It doesn't make any difference if we have a fun LMS if the content itself is the same, as I say, deadly boring content that's been out there for forever. So, it's really fairly easy to build simple gamification into it. It's just a matter of taking your LMS or your content and turning it upside down a little bit. Instead of feeding the information step by step to people, give them a challenge. Ask them to figure out how to do something. So it's just kind of turning the content around. It doesn't really require fancy game elements, I don't think. Having worked for Authorware early on in my e-learning years, I had the awesome opportunity to work with Dr. Michael Allen, and his whole thing has always been about engagement and fun, and I think that has kind of influenced my belief throughout the whole year, all my years of working with the learning management systems and e-learning. 3 years I had a chance to work with him very early on. One of the scariest things I ever had was taking my content that I would be developing as a pre-sales support person to taking it into a monthly review we used to do, and putting it up on the big screen and having all the developers and Mike Allen in the room going through and justifying what was fun and what was engaging and what was traditional learning, and it really helped forced you to think, how can I make this more fun? How can I make this more engaging? Doesn't mean it has to be all games, but it has to be engaging.
Now, Jennifer, you've been around for a while. You've seen a lot of different authoring tools. What are your current favorite authoring tools, or what do you like working in? That's a good question.
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite authoring tool is no longer available,
right,
which was Authorware, and I think very many of us who were in that boat are still crying about that. I use Captivate for my primary development tool right now. Truthfully, I am doing a large amount of software simulation training, so Captivate does make a good tool for that. I just wish it had more power to set things up as challenges and really structure complete, a little bit more discovery type of learning versus here you click here or you click here, and make it easier for us to have 3 different paths on the same screen, taking it down different paths. I've liked the look at Zebra Zaps, partly because of the name. I always tell Mike Allen he owes me a little royalty for using my name in his software name. But it's a little complex and a little bit difficult, I think. So I haven't, so a lot of people are still doing things in Flash just because they can do whatever they want to, and make little templates and things in Flash and use that and things. So I don't know. Not a good. I wish there was Authorware.
Yeah, yeah. Any last comments? Because we're about a minute to go. Any more comments in the chat room, Lisa?
I think the best part of hearing about tools like this is hearing some beautiful success story. I know you can't you mention company names probably, but do you have any fun stories about how this completely changed something for a company or individuals, or just made people's worlds better?
Well, like I said, I was involved with a system that we did use gamification, and we were really struggling. We thought we had a project where we were going to do 1,000 technical people throughout a global organization, and we wanted everyone to have basic level of customer service training and some email handling, responding with email, messaging, and various some core content. So we said, how can we make this is tech people, how can we make this really happen? And so we added this lovely gamification elements to it. It had badges and leaderboard and things, and said, is this going? But we also had an option that they could game out. They could choose not to pick the gamification things. They could just go through a more traditional LMS side of things. And we found that overwhelmingly it was the gamification element path was selected throughout the whole training. And I think it really within the 6 months that it was set up, everybody completed all their content, and I think that was a tremendous push also on things. It made it easy for managers to see what they were doing, because I think with most of with like an LMS like Academy, the dashboard for the managers is set up to be very easy to view, and so very quickly able to drill down and see where your people are short, who's has not completed what they're supposed to. So I think adding the support for the managers is also a very big important part of getting the engagement factor in the LMS, because if the manager's not behind it, the student's not behind it, the learner's not behind it. So I think that's some of the things that we learned, lessons we learned is, managers have to be right there too. Have to make it easy for them.
And I think that's a good place to end this show. Jennifer, we'd love to have you back on. We can talk about authoring tools and other things in the future, not to mention how you're doing with growth engineering, because this sounds like an exciting opportunity, and Lord knows we need some good, exciting stuff in this field. So. Yeah,
I'm interested. We're going to go to we'll be at G Summit, which is the Gamification.co's conference in San Francisco coming up in June. We're going to be at DevLearn in October in Las Vegas. So we'll hopefully see some of you there.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Lisa, you going to any of those?
I don't know if I am. I'm still kind of figuring out which conference this year.
I know. I'm going to eLearn, but we're just going Expo only, and I may speak at DevLearn. Hopefully, we'll see.
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm hoping to speak at DevLearn also.
That'd be good.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having us on, inviting us to participate in the eLearnChat. We really appreciate this opportunity.
That's great. We're glad you could make it. And Lisa, as always, we'll see you next week on eLearnChat. Oh, you guys watching in the chat room, thanks for being there. And for you folks watching the recordings, please subscribe and let us know what you think. We always look forward to the feedback. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.